The Atlantic recently launched Inheritance, a multi-year journalism and tech project that will endeavor to fill the blank pages of Black history, to piece together through reporting and data the crucial events and conversations that have been intentionally left out of America's narrative. The first installment is the Atlantic's March issue, entitled "We Mourn for All We Do Not Know," in which contributors have written pieces on Black life, American history, and what the magazine calls the resilience of memory. Joining us now, actress, playwright, and contributing writer to The Atlantic, Deavere Smith. Her piece for the issue recounts her own coming to consciousness on a sheltered, mostly white college campus in the 1960s. Also with us, senior editor at The Atlantic and host of the podcast Floodlines, Vann Newkirk II, who writes about the history of the Voting Rights Act through the prism of his mother's own experience of American democracy. It is great to have you both with us, and this project is so important. Vann, I want to ask you about the issue, first of all. We mourn for all we don't know. Can you fill in the blanks or list for us the areas where we are completely, ignorant of what has truly happened in American history?
Well, I don't know that I have the time to list everything that we are completely ignorant of. But I think, at least with this issue, we tried to grapple with the very problem of memory. And we understand that history is something that's always been written and emphasized by the victors in many cases, and by people who were not necessarily sympathetic to civil rights veterans and Black folks. So the point of this chapter in the project is to examine the ways that our very memory of civil rights, of Black history in America has failed us. And yeah, I think everything from our understanding of slavery, of how the first enslaved people came here, to how the gears of Jim Crow actually depressed and oppressed generations of Black folks. Those things have been misremembered. And so we began with a corrective, we believe.
So, Anna, your piece is about integrating a white all-girls college in the late 1960s, and you write in part this: "Our demands were modest. We wanted courses in Black history and a Black faculty member or two. The meeting did not go well. The dean told us that if we exhibited undesirable behavior, the administration would not be happy to have us there. And if you continue to show undesirable behavior," she said, "we're certainly not going to pay to have you here." If a dean were to talk like that to a group of Black students now, heck, if a school custodian were to talk like that to a group of Black students now, they wouldn't even get to pay to have you here part. They'd be fired the time they said undesirable behavior. Someone would put it on social media, and that would be that. Back then, though, there wasn't much we could do. Could you talk more about that experience? Because that's a pretty searing example. But it's also a sign of some progress between where we are now and where we were back then. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's right. And I think maybe there are lessons in cautionary tales, again, in looking back at history, right? Because that was a struggle, but we're now in another kind of wild, wild west. That time was really almost like a cultural earthquake. There were only 7 of us who came in the freshman class. Negroes called at the time. We became Black when Martin Luther King was killed. And in an all-white environment, these schools, like my school, Beaver College, now Arcadia, were really made to train, fairly well-off or upper-middle-class white women how to be good wives and good pillars to their community. So in that time period, it wasn't just these small efforts of integration. That was also the anti-Vietnam movement, the beginning of the women's movement. All men's colleges were accepting women, so it was a time of real cultural upheaval. And yeah, deans could say things like that to us, but we stayed the course, and we did manage to do something while we were there.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.